A win. We actually won a game. Can you believe it? Brighton 0, Manchester United 2. And the final game of the Premier League season for Manchester United ends in a victory. Back-to-back victories for Manchester United 2. Can you imagine? Can you believe it? We have finished 8th, though. So as of right now, no European football for us next season. But, of course, there is still the FA Cup final to come next week at Wembley. And Manchester United not only need to win the final to get a trophy, but also they need to win the final to qualify for Europe next season too. So there is still something to play for next year. And as I mentioned, back-to-back wins for United to finish up a very, very poor, very, very bad, and frankly at times embarrassing season. But just in sort of the thoughts on the game as well, before we get to all of the calls and what have you, was a game that for a large majority of it was really bad. That was a really bad game with a real lack of quality throughout a lot of it as well. But in the end, Diogo Dalot gets a goal. Rasmus Hojlund, another one, 2-2 for him. And as I mentioned quite a lot recently, momentum's a key thing, isn't it? A bit of momentum going into a cup final. We're going to need it. Let's face it. We are the underdogs. Important to get some players back today, get some minutes. Of course, Lisandro Martinez started, got some minutes. Rafael Varane came on, got some minutes. Ahmad started again. It'll be interesting to see now what happens for him when it comes to the FA Cup final against Manchester City. But a win is a win. Now, does it paper over what was a very poor season? No. No, definitely not. But in terms of today, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's sort of, there's a variety of feelings. There is, you're always happy we won. So you're happy that we won. I've got this sense of relief that the Premier League season is over anyway. I still got this sense of real disappointment and frustration in a really bad season. So it really is. It's a mixture. It's a mixture of feelings, isn't it? Definitely. But this is the full-time view where members can call in and have their say. If you do wish to become a member, just be on the Match View stream. Ask Danny DeVito. So become a new member. My goodness me, the generosity is off the scale from Danny DeVito. Big up to him. Gifting what was it? It must have been something 300 memberships or something crazy. It's got to be a record. So big up to you. Big up the generosity. It really does mean a lot. It really does help support the channel. And hopefully all of you guys really, really enjoy all of the memberships. Not only can you call into the full-time view, in addition to that, you get your exclusive members-only content, such as UV Raw, which is, my goodness me, how many episodes of UV Raw are there now? Closing in on 40, I think. Closing in on 40 episodes of UV Raw, which is the behind-the-scenes look at United View on a day-to-day. There'll probably be a new episode that comes out either today or tomorrow from that, featuring all the stuff that's been happening in UVHQ today. And also you get your badges, your emojis, all that fun stuff. So yes, if you do wish to become a member though, and you haven't already, you can do so. Links in the video description. You can also click the join button. It's pinned in the live chat. And if you are a member and you wish to call in, you can just go over to the United View YouTube page, go over to the community tab, and you should see it there. Also, I think if you're a member and you've got your email notifications turned on or something like that, then sometimes you get like a little email through, or you get a notification through saying, this is just been posted if you're a member, and you can get the link there too. So there's plenty of different ways to call in and get involved or become a member if you haven't already. Let's go to our first call. Let's start off with Chalaboy Comics. Back-to-back wins.
How's it going on?
We win another game, which look, we were saying a couple of weeks ago, where does our next win come from? Finished the season with 2 wins. Still a disappointing season, of course, with where we finished, but there's still something to play for. What did you make of what you saw today?
Yeah, no, it was a game that I felt like we could have won. Like I mentioned, if we had played the way we played against Arsenal and that compact, playing for each other, I thought we could beat both Newcastle and Brighton, which we did, which I'm very happy about. In terms of specifically focusing on the 90 minutes, because we can talk about the season as a whole a little bit later. It was a game of 2 halves in the sense that the first half, Brighton had found a way to play around us, even though for as much possession they dominated, as much as they dominated us with possession, they had maybe 2 clear-cut chances, but the rest of them felt a little bit pot-shotty or things like that. And I think the main difference that we did, going into the second half, is we're just a little bit more proactive with our press. And I was fighting a couple battles in the comment section for the live stream when everyone's like, "Yo, you're up to toxic positivity, blah blah blah." And I'm saying, like, look, I'm watching this game and I can see the good things that we're trying to do. It's just we're let down by just terrible execution again. Amrabat, I'm sorry to say, this was his chance to cement his spot, in the FA Cup final, but he was pretty bad. And yeah, it was just a situation that once we decided to be a little bit more brave, a bit more in sync, the problems that we were causing Brighton became to be more and more apparent. And we're getting this sort of pattern and play or idea of how Ten Hag has been trying to get us to play, where we combine in the base, we play a switch into the middle, and then progress really long to our wide players to then start that phase of attack. So I was very happy about the second half. The first half, it was an ugly half. Let's be honest, but we still stayed in it, which is why when it was 0-0, I was like, guys, we should be happy that it's 0-0 because this game could have gotten away from us. Like, all we need to do is just some minor tweaks and we'll be able to get the situation going. So I was very happy with the team performance in the second half. I know McTominay was getting some criticisms, but I think his position, in that half space in front of the back four was causing them a bit of problems, allowing people to run off him. So I thought it was really good. But I also want to shout out specifically Hojlund for coming on, scoring his goal, 2-2, as you mentioned. And I think, like going back to our conversations around him, it seems like he's a momentum guy. That's what it seems like, that if he's out of the team, he's gonna struggle for a little bit, and then when he comes in, he'll start scoring. I still maintain that his off the ball movement is something he should work on in the off season, because I feel when the ball's at his feet, he has the ability to drive and to turn and to pass and shoot. So I think he's a work in progress. I'm sort of having a slight change of mind in terms of what profile of striker we should get. Prior to this, I wanted the big boss to come in and Hojlund to play second fiddle. But I think the cap on this guy is so high that it's probably better to have a more senior striker, like a Edinson Cavani type of guy, to come in where he still has something to give, but the expectation is not that he'll be playing all the games. And the one that comes in my mind, although I talked to this with a couple of friends and they were basically like saying he's not a striker, but someone in the profile of Muller in our team would be such a beneficiary. Like, it will be so beneficial to Hojlund. So I don't know if we can get him. I don't know if he's available, but a striker in that mold, I think, is what we need. Someone who can get goals reliably, but is maybe a more senior figure. So I'm still confused about the Hojlund one, but all in all, a really good team performance.
Does it say a lot actually about Hojlund in the sense that his last two goal games he obviously scored, came off the bench in both of them? And I'm not saying, he should be a bench player just off the bench next season, but does it go to show with him that, again, sometimes we forget his age. We forget what he sort of came from being last season. Yeah. And if we did have just, like you mentioned, just that other option where it was like, okay, we're going to start with this striker today. Right. Hojlund can come on. And at that point, tired defense, they're having to deal with maybe a different profile of striker than they have been during the whole game. Spaces open up a little bit, or the United players have been playing a certain way, playing to a certain striker type the whole game. Then they can pivot. It offers something a bit different. Is the last two games, maybe my long-winded point here, is that really sort of the critical evidence of that's why we need to get another striker next season, because it actually will enhance Hojlund and make him maybe play better, but actually give him more opportunities next season to score goals too.
No, 100%. I think exactly what you've said, but also the fact that you need multiple strikers in the Premier League, regardless, just in general, And I feel like if Martial was fit, which is he's never fit, but if he was fit, I think Hojlund, we'd have seen a more productive Hojlund, because remember he came in with a back injury, right? So the load of needing to carry games, maybe he doesn't get injured a second time around if we had a second striker to ease him in. And I think we talked about this a while back, but the fact that our lack of control in games or our passes execution has a knock-on effect on the whole squad, because you're always in the pressure cooker moment. Every game is a must-win game. There are no easy games. You can't take off your best players. So as things sort of pile up, you start to get more injuries, more stress, more dysfunction in the team, and it all sometimes just boils down to executing a simple pass, right? So yeah, Hojlund would have definitely benefited, from a second striker. And if we're talking about the FA Cup, like whether he starts or not, it's a very interesting one because that McTominay, Amrabat, Maino, Bruno situation is there to give us a little bit more midfield solidity. So if we take out what's his name, Amrabat, and put in Casemiro, there's still Hojlund that needs to be. Are we going to play McTominay or Hojlund? Is pretty much the question. So, I think he should start, but at the same time, only Ten Hag may know why he's bringing him off the bench, whether it's to prepare him in terms of fitness for the game, or whether it's because he finds his impact is greater. That will be remain to be seen. But I think he's done enough to play himself back into the team.
And just finally, prediction for next week. We won't speak before the FA Cup final. The next time we speak, have we just won the FA Cup, or we have our hearts broken?
So, Owen, I know this is the last thing. I wanted to bring up something before we get to this final thing. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
So as you know that I've been, thank you. As you know, I've been a very big proponent of Ten Hag. And one of the things that he said is that we're one of the most dynamic and entertaining teams since the turn of the year. And, everyone went ham on him. And I waited until the end of the season to sort of like give an analysis on what he meant by this, because I feel like a lot of people just like jumped on him because of our position, because we weren't winning games. But if you look from the turn of it was December 26th, the Aston Villa game, up till now, we've played about 25 games in all competitions, and we've scored 2.12 goals a game. And in that period, we have had Garnacho, Hojlund, Rashford, Dalot, Bruno, Mainu, Anthony, McTominay, Maguire, Casemiro, Ahmed, and Mount all score. That's a fullback, that's a striker, couple wingers, attacking midfielders, CDM, center back, right winger. So the point I'm making is, if you extrapolate those goals, because obviously football doesn't work like this, but if you look at our offensive output on average going forward, that's about 81 goals in a season, right? In a 38-game season, which puts us comfortably in the top 5 goal-scoring teams, if you look at this season's record, right? So what Ten Hag said by that is, if you understand his use of the word dynamic, is that he's always talking about interchanging of positions, different goal scorers. The model allows for multiple players to be a goal threat, not just one singular goal threat, which is what he meant by that dynamic and entertaining team. Now, obviously, our overall play hasn't been good, but I think it was taken out of context. What he was trying to say was that our attacking output has actually seen a dramatic increase, when prior to these few seasons, we had been scoring, I think, just under 1.5 goals a game. So that has been a big change and a big improvement. So I just wanted to give his coaching staff, the team credit on the offensive side of things. And if we are able to fix the defensive side of things, we'll be in a much better position. So I just wanted to give him that, reprieve. And if you actually look at the stats, you look at the number of goal scorers, the different types of goals we're scoring, we are dynamic, and it's just about execution. So I just wanted to say that. But before to go back to the FA Cup, I have to believe, and I believe we're going to bring home the cup. It's going to be very difficult, but United have that magic. So let's go for it.
Dalot comments is going for an FA Cup win, and also a bit of Erik Ten Hag defense there as well. We shall see what happens. The best thing Erik Ten Hag can do to save his job has been the same thing he can do all season: win football matches, because that's what it's about. Results-based business. That's what it's all about. Some of the things he said have been a bit wild. I think that, he can say it dynamic, attacking, and whatever the rest of the quote was. It's half of the equation, isn't it? That's the problem. The other half of it is defense, and people. The problem is it boils down to, and it is somewhat true most of the time. They said the Premier League, don't they? The table doesn't really lie. You tend to end up where you deserve to be, and Manchester United have finished 8th this season. Lowest we've ever finished in the Prem. And that's where we're at as well. That's what it is. But we'll see what happens next week as well. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Amanor. Amanor, What did you make of everything you saw today? And also, as well, is it a weird one? Because whilst we'll talk about the game, it almost feels like the more important things to talk about are the stuff preceding it and succeeding it as well, like the season in general and also the FA Cup final next week.
Afternoon, Owen. I'm not gonna lie. I only started watching the game at 66 minutes because I was out party. So
well, that sums it up perfectly as well. So the stuff preceding it and succeeding it as well. That's the more important things.
So I could only. I'm not going to give you that in-depth analysis. I did see the 2 goals that was scored, but I just want to say that today's game, especially, you can't really analyze, the team's performance in terms of what that will say about how we perform in the final. The reason why I want to come on, Owen, is just to. I know it's the end of the season, so I want to give respect to Dalot, actually. I know there's quite a few players that deserve a bit of a shout throughout the season, mainly coming through as an example, and there hasn't been many positive points throughout the season, let's be honest. Champions League humiliations, etc. But Dalot, for me, he's had a couple of games where it was dubious, etc. I know the Galatasaray game, remember, Owen, the home game where Zaha went through and humiliated him. But I can't think of apart from a couple of games. I can't think of games where he put in a below 6 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 performance. And so for me, the season, given how rubbish it's been from a Premier League point of view, I want people to sort of put a bit of respect on Dalot. Yeah, that's the first thing I want to say. And going to Chalaboy's comics about using statistics, and I love the way he sort of finessed his arguments. I'm just reading the BBC article now, and it says that this is United's worst Premier League performance since 1989 to 1990. Premier League wasn't even established then, bearing that in mind. So we're talking about 34 years. We have a negative goal difference after 38 games. Please don't tell me, you can polish a turd if anybody wants it, but it's still a turd. So that's the season for me. I don't want to spend too much time talking about the negatives of the season. I want to now start thinking about, okay, 2 things. First of all, where does this leave the manager and these players? For me, on the players first, I've heard rumors that, I don't know if it's true about Bruno. Bruno has proclaimed that he wants to stay at Man United. But I've also heard other sources whereby he's at the age of 30. He's thinking, okay, am I realistically going to win a serious trophy with this club and be prepared to stay here for another 2-3 seasons? Or will he move on? I don't think those rumors are going to go away. So that's something that we should be worried about if we think Bruno Fernandes is going to be our talisman going forward. And there's other players that, with Varane leaving, etc., who are going to be our leaders next season. If Bruno's not going to be there, I think Bruno will be there, but that's something that we shouldn't be naive about. He said publicly, you said it yourself, Owen. People say things in the press conference, people say things, but actually, what's happening behind the scenes, we don't know. So people need to be live to that. I don't know what you think about that, Owen.
I think Bruno probably stays. I mean, I get your point there. I think the idea just to completely write it off, I agree with what you're saying, is somewhat naive, because when those reports first came out, lots of people kind of poo-pooed them, it's not happening. And there must have been some merit to them, because Ineos called a meeting with Bruno and his representatives to gauge where he's at. So clearly there was something there, enough to the point where they go, let's actually just sit down and just double check we're all on the same page here. And it would appear that he's of the mindset of, well, I want to stay, but I just want to know we're heading in the right direction, because it's a big period of uncertainty right now. We as fans go into this transfer window in the summer going, there's a lot to do, but we don't really know what's going to happen, do we? Because we only know how, John Murtough, Richard Arnold, or Ed Woodward operated in the transfer window, which is chaos. And we're not used to whatever's to come in the future. So I can understand those reassurances. I think with Bruno, I don't think he goes. Yeah. But it would be, to your point, it would be very interesting. Let's say hypothetically, if say like a Saudi said, 70 million, that's Bruno Fernandes. It'd be interesting to see what United did and what he did in that situation. But I don't think he'll go.
I agree with. So for me, some of the senior players need to leave as well. I keep banging on about this, but yes, he played okay to Casemiro, but I still think once we get our full central defenders back, and I know we need to replace Varane, Maguire possibly, etc. But whether Casemiro has a spot in the first team, not sure. Rashford needs to go. So let's be balanced in our view. Yes, we won today, but we're looking at the entire season and how we move forward. So I'm looking ahead to pre-season and what we do next season in terms of the players that we have, and the priority will be shipping out players, not necessarily bringing in players. We need to ship players, and players who do not fit Ineos's philosophy or style of play, whatever that is, that game model. In terms of the manager, though, this is my last point, Owen. But, I want Erik ten Hag to succeed. Believe me, I'm not one of those reactionary fans that want him out, etc. Ultimately, that will happen, I think. But there's a part of me that thinks that even if Ten Hag manages to beat City in the final, I still think it's hanging up. It's 50-50 whether he stays as a manager next season. Just because he hasn't convinced me yet what his plans B are. When he faces adversity, how can he deal with variables or curveballs being thrown at him? Yes, we've won our last 2 games, but like you said, Owen, I'm repeating myself. It's the season, 38-game season, and we have to assess him for that, and assess him in terms of how we are going to play going forward, and what is the Ineos's model. So, in my mind, I want us to win the FA Cup final next season, next Sunday or Saturday. I can't remember what day it is. Whether we'll do it, I'm not sure. But if we get Martinez back, Varane playing, we get Mainu, Amrabat playing in the mid, we've got a chance. But that still doesn't address the question for me of whether he will be our manager next season.
No, I think it's a fair one. Basically, as what I was saying during the pre-match on the match view, is that I really, and this isn't like, politicians sitting on the fence or what have you. Legitimately, I do think it's quite close at the moment. I think it's quite 50-50. I still think there is more stuff to happen and play out. Just on like Friday, it felt like suddenly no managers were available, and it felt like he's probably going to stay. And then, 24 hours later, suddenly like 3 or 4 managers are possibly available, and you go, well, that might turn Ineos's head. And then, then you win 2 football matches, you might win an FA Cup, and then you go, well, that might change someone's head, turn someone's head as well. So I still think, I do believe Ineos are waiting to see more, just in everything. Every circumstance we're talking about here, whether it's the football, results, people available, finances as well. We're not in Europe as of today. We might be come next weekend if we win it. That might change things as well. Like all of that stuff, I think they're still waiting. Yeah. I think,
and I am guilty of this, Owen. But we must not underestimate this season in particular the PSR rules. If we're not in Europe next season at all, say for example we lose against FA Cup, forget signing players, forget what our budget is. There will be the first priority will be, right, we need to cut the wage bill. We need to get rid of players now. Man United never had to think like that for the last 10 years, but now they have to. And with Ineos coming in and the way they're approaching things, do not be surprised that the first headlines you see are names leaving the club that you would not have expected.
Yeah, possibly. Definitely possible. Big up, Amano. Appreciate you calling in. As always, a reminder, if you do wish to call in on today's full-time view, you can do so. Go over to the United View YouTube page. Click on the community tab there. There'll be a link. It'll say full-time view link. Only members can see it, and they can call in and have a chat about, obviously, today's match, obviously about the FA Cup final next weekend, also about, of course, just the season in general, because today's one of those weird ones, isn't it? Because we've won, and there's, a sense of, happy we won. But then if you do that, then people start going, you've got your head in the sand. It doesn't paper over the terrible season, which of course it doesn't. Then you look ahead to next weekend's FA Cup final, and the reaction can be, well, we're still going to lose next weekend's FA Cup final, but we might have thought that if we were lost today as well. So yeah, I mean, what was quite humorous is that, going into the game, we were talking about, can we finish 7th for Europa Conference League and all that stuff? Very quickly, Newcastle go 2-0 up, then, or was it 3-0 up, and then it's over 3-2. Is that good? Just for a second, the people that are like, I don't want Conference League, for a second was a little bit like, maybe I want it. But it's going to be Europa League or nothing next season, and that depends on, beating the Premier League champions in the FA Cup final. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Pav. Pav, I suppose, once again, after a result like today, do you talk about the game, or do you talk about the season overall now that the Premier League season is over? What do you make of it all?
I'm mind boggled. I thought we finished 7th until Aminal just said about no Europe. I was like, wait, what? I just went back and looked at the table. I was like, wait, what's going on? I thought we finished 7th. I swear to God, I was about to come on here and moan about being in the Conference League. Now I've got to change what I'm going to talk about. I honestly thought we finished 7th.
Well, it's always good to do your research, isn't it? It's always good to make sure you're prepared. I wish I'd have come to you first now. I wish I'd have come to you first. You've done a big, long speech going, it's Conference League. I'm sick of it. I don't want it. And then you go, yeah.
I was going to come in here and be like, we must win that FA Cup no matter what. But we have to anyway. We have to. Look, we have to get Europa League. I don't not want to be. I didn't want to be in Conference League. That's for sure. I've told you that last week. But I'd rather be in the Europa League. Because obviously if we win that, it's UCL just in case we don't get 5th or 4th next season. But now I'm mind boggled. I thought because we beat Newcastle, I thought as long as we won today, we would get 7th. But now I don't know what's happening. It's goal difference, isn't it?
Goal difference. And does that once again go to show that, for all of the people that when you go throughout the season saying it doesn't matter the goal difference, it really does. When it gets down to the nitty gritty come the end of the season, whether you're going for, obviously, like you say, something as small as like a Conference League or Europa League or even getting the Champions League or win a Premier League title, those goals count. And those goals conceded count just as much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Our defence has been shocking. Midfield's been shocking. The whole season's been shocking. Players have been shocking. Managers been shocking. Individual players have been shocking. And the list goes on. The amount of records that were broken this season, there's probably like, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 pages of A4 bit of paper that you can write of all the records that we've broken for all the wrong reasons this season. Another 5, 6, 7 pages of the injuries that we've had. Everything needs to change at this club, and I'm not even joking. From top to bottom, like the background staff within like the medical team and all that. Like we need to like evaluate these players. First things first. I want every player who doesn't want to be at Man United. I need the new team to sit there, everyone's agent at that front door after the FA Cup. No one's going on holiday. Do you want to stay or not? No, get out. You're gone. We'll put you up for sale. And then work out the players that we got left and whether they're going to be good enough to play for us next season. If they're not, they can go as well. And then we've got to start recruiting. We've got to start bringing in some decent quality. A lot of people are saying this Elise deal's going to happen. Bring him in. I'm all for it. Quality player. I don't want to listen about injuries and stuff because it doesn't matter what player comes here. Any player that comes here, he could have a clean injury record. He comes here, and if that medical team's there, they're getting injured no matter what. It doesn't matter. Yeah. We need to start bringing in some decent quality, man. It's going to be a new era. We've all been each other's throat this season because of what's happened from next season. I don't care what happens. Obviously, I want Ted Hall to go, but if he's here, I'll allow it, see what happens. But we can all be friends again until it goes tits up, and then we can be at each other's throats again. So
I
tell you this.
I hope we can be friends again. I really hope so. I don't think it's going to happen though. Like it'll take a game, won't it? One game, and then it'll start all over
I already
again.
I said if a new manager comes in, depending on who it is, they get time. But if it's Gareth Southgate, that guy's got 1 week. If you don't go bang a team 9-0, you're out. But I don't even care.
Yeah, honestly, the Gareth Southgate one. Oh.
I tell you one thing that's good come out of this season, isn't it? Because of how bad we were this season, I actually got back into watching wrestling after 6 years. I think it was 6 or 7 years. I think it was a year or two after Undertaker lost his streak. I stopped watching wrestling. I fell out of love with it. And because of that, how bad we were, I've actually got back into watching. I'm actually liking what I'm seeing.
There you go.
That's something different. And if people ain't subscribed to your channel, go subscribe to Owen's wrestling channel as well. Even if you don't watch wrestling, just go help Owen out.
There you go. I appreciate that, Pav. I appreciate that.
Before I go,
KG as well.
Just before I go, we must win that FA Cup. I need these players to turn up. I see Varane and Martinez getting minutes. I want to see the team start with Martinez and Johnny Evans. And if we need to change about, bring Varane on after half time. But we must win that FA Cup. I don't want them to do what we did last season, conceding those 2 rubbish goals. Well, they're not whatever, they're quality goals, but it was our own mistakes. I don't want any player making mistakes. You need to turn up. You need to rectify for last season for that FA Cup final. Just turn up, and we have to win it.
Yeah, we have to win it indeed. Big up, Pav. Appreciate you calling in as always. But big up to KG as well. 40K 40K. And if you haven't seen it at the end of the match view stream, he called up his wife and he called up and he got his daughter on the phone. 2024 Dan Gore. It's real. 2024 Dan Gore. Big up KG. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Ray. Ray, what do you make of the season in general? How are you feeling?
Big up Owen, man. I'm always giving you guys some support in the mornings when I could tune in. Well, Owen, I'm gonna be honest, man. About October, I said to my friends, I fear for the season because it just looked like it was going to go bad. Injuries were piling up, takeover nonsense will keep going on. We didn't really had a good summer, to be honest. So I thought, let's see if we can ride the storm, and we never did. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a bad season. We finished 8th, and I'm still gonna say, we needed our players, and I think the season turned for worse with Sancho. I really do. I think him refusing not to play. I think the rumors for me were a bit true, but somehow Ten Hag got them back on side. I think he did lose. I think he did lose the players with Sancho, because Sancho straight up said, "Nah, I'm not playing." And I think Rashford form went.
Do you think it's a combination of not just like, say, the Sancho one, but like there have been a few, shall we say, incidents over the last 2 years, whether it's Ronaldo, whether it's Sancho, whether it's like with like Rashford or whatever. Do you think that always just sort of, like I said, piled in to everything else that's happened?
Yes, all piled in, because I heard a rumor that the players weren't happy that he got rid of De Gea.
Yeah, so exactly. Stuff like that as well,
Yeah, so I think there were some issues coming into the season, because I think on tour we heard Ten Hag angrily said the players are not doing what I asked them to do. So there were some issues coming into the season, Owen, and it all. I mean, I'm not blaming Sancho. I'm not putting all the blame on Sancho. I'm just saying, I believe that incident was a tipping point, and then I think because some of the performances weren't just down to Eric not getting the tactics right. Some of them were just plain not trying. I mean, we could have pinpointed all. We could go through all the videos we watched. Even Rashford was jogging. Some of those guys were doing weird passes. I mean, even Varane went weird in the Champions League. He went weird. He just came on, didn't look interested, and just started flipping the ball all over the place. You thought, wait, that's not Varane. So there were some issues going on. So I don't know.
Varane was out this team for a little while as well. I remember that around sort of what was it, October, November time, when Varane was fit, and then suddenly it was like he started going with Maguire instead of Evans, and everyone was questioning that. What's going on with that? Like, there have been those kind of flashpoints all season mixed in with poor performances as well, isn't there? You kind of forget those kind of subplots when you get to the end of it, don't you?
You do, but I do think he's pulled them back though. I think he's pulled, especially young kids. I think he's pulled them back, and I think I would give him one more season, at least the start of the season, just to see if the injuries, because we have been picking up in the last, if we didn't throw away some games, we probably would have been, at least we probably been above Newcastle at least, because we did throw away some games that you thought. I think we went to a 4 or 5 period of games where we were winning the games and we were losing the games in the last minute. And you think to yourself, why are we doing that? But for me, I mean, it's over for Ineos now. I mean, I want to be positive, because the reason why I'm feeling a bit positive, and I hope we all be positive next year, is because we having a structure now. We're actually going into the season and we're not thinking about, it's Woodward, or it's bloody Mortek going off to Spain, or it's something that we've got guys in there now who sit down and think about players, and that's what I wanted for a long time. I've been screaming for that for a long time. Even if they get rid of the manager or whatever, as long as we have guys in there go, okay, we'll be looking at this player. We're not gonna, because I don't want to see sagas. I don't want to see we're chasing Frankie de Jong all season and then, oh look, we have to give 90 million to Ajax or 80 million to, because we failed out. I want to see, okay, we linked with Olise or whoever. Oh yeah, look, he's actually going on the plane. 2 or 3 signings in. A bit like, I hate to call Liverpool on this channel, but a bit like Liverpool. Liverpool linked to somebody, and then holy hell, 2 weeks, he's already there.
Yeah,
something like that. That's what I want to see. And if I see that this season, I'm very positive, because I didn't know. Okay, yes, we're finally moving in the right direction. But I don't want to be negative, but if I see these guys coming in and saying, "Oh, oh God, it's August and we're still fighting whoever for extra pounds," I say, "Oh God, here we go." But yeah, I'm
no,
excited for that, to be honest. Really,
yeah,
because I
yeah.
believe we get football people in can make football decisions for a change.
Yeah, absolutely. FA Cup final next weekend. You were positive. Are you going to keep up the positivity when it comes to the result next
Oh, you're
weekend? How are you
killing me
feeling
off
about
that.
that?
Well, I mean, City's City's a tough team because they love to pop long shots against us and they go in. I mean, even the league game, I think we were doing all right, and then Foden, these long range shots they like to do. So it's tough because they're too skillful. So I hope we can do it. You know what I mean? I really do. But my fear is that they're going to start shooting from 30, 40 yards. It's going to go in like they did in the
And it's
last
just
FA Cup final.
mistakes, isn't it? It's just we have to
Yes.
make sure no individual errors, and that's just what we haven't done all season. Like even like Onana, you're looking at him just going, "Not today." If there was ever a day, not today, because we can't afford to go one down for a mistake. We've got to. We've just. It's probably true. We've got to be close to perfect. Really,
You've got
we've
to
got
be,
to
man.
close to perfect.
Yeah, and it's these mistakes I'm always worrying because we always do them. And that's what's worrying because, teams like City will punish you in it if you do a mistake.
Yeah.
So I hope we just switch on and be like perfect and Nick even take it to pens or something and just win it.
Anything
Yeah,
like that. That's what Real Madrid did. That's what Real Madrid did against them at the Etihad. Stay in the game as much as you can, take it to penalties, and then who knows? It's a cup final at the end of the day. That's it.
Exactly, man. You know what I mean? And if we win that, take that, and it gets us into Europe, innit? And you'll say, well, okay, but before before I go, but I would like to say one thing though: we still haven't finished worse than Ollie's 58 season. So
yeah,
and we only on level of points with her. I know it's hard to be positive, but at least because a couple of months ago he was looking like this is going to be our worst points total ever. But we've not played good today, but better. And the last couple of games, we've seen a little bit of maybe the football that we're looking for under Ten Hag. I mean, we've kept the ball better as well.
Yeah, it's not maybe been as shall we say, exciting. Some of the games have been a bit more sort of pulling teeth to watch. But to your point, with these 3 games left, Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, if you'd have said, well, 2 wins and a loss, you'd have been like, absolutely. I'll take that. And a clean sheet today as well. So
yeah. And we took
know.
the hood off the back because Brighton always beaten us. And we've given De Zerbi his last beating. And I've got to say, I'm going on Hojlund, he's a decent buy, man. You know what I mean? A lot of people gave him stick this season, but 16 goals return on your first season and 10 double-digit Premier League goals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If the kid's got an eye for goal, and if we was better at giving him the ball, he would have gotten at least 15 goals. I think.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. It's true. Absolutely. Yeah. Big up, Ray. Appreciate you calling in as always. And he's a long-time supporter, long-time member, long-time super chatter. He's always getting involved in the morning shows as well. Big up, Ray. Really cool to talk to him, as it is cool to talk to all of you. It's fantastic. Super chat here from Chalaboy Comics says, just want to say thanks, Owen, for the enjoyable chats throughout what has been an overall poor season. Really appreciate your hard work. Big up to the whole UV crew. Now let's get that FA Cup. Big up to you. Big up to all of the members. You don't need to thank me at all. Thank you for tuning in to all of the shows throughout this season. Of course, there is still more to come as the FA Cup final next week, which will be the final full-time view of the season. And then we'll be back next season, the beginning of next season. We don't really do them in pre-season, usually because they're up so late, or I am up so late. Yeah, a big up to everyone for getting involved this season. It's not been easy, has it? It's not been easy. And I know sometimes, I can probably speak for myself here, but I know, you probably echo this. Sometimes when Man United aren't doing very well and it does get a bit toxic, sometimes you just want to take a step back from football sometimes and be like, oh God, it's getting a bit rough at the moment. And yeah, it's not been a good season, but that's why we're a community. We're all together. We got different opinions and we share them. That's what being a fan is all about, isn't it? It's going, I think this, and it's either I agree, I disagree, this is what I think, or everyone wants Man United to succeed. Everyone wants Man United to do well. And Yeah, it's great. I myself consider myself so fortunate and so lucky to be able to talk to you guys on a regular basis, to discuss my opinions, my thoughts with you guys on a regular basis. I'm one of the luckiest men in the world, certainly. So big up to everyone. We keep going, though. The season isn't over just yet. There is a finale, a final in 6 days' time at Wembley. So we'll have all of the build up to that. We'll have, obviously, coming out after today's game, if they're not out already, we'll have the fan views from Flex, KG, and Raf inside UVHQ, as well as the player ratings. We'll have the aftermath, which lots of people have been really enjoying. Then, of course, as we get into the build-up, we'll have, obviously, morning shows throughout the week, heading up to the FA Cup final, the Flex and KG show, previews, etc., etc. And then we'll be back next weekend. KG and myself will be on the match view. And one final KO match view of the season, which I'm sure will be a lot of fun. The last FA Cup, me and KG have done. We've done the last 2 FA Cup matches. We did quarterfinal. I mean, we've had some barn burners in terms of the match views for the FA Cup this season. We did obviously the Liverpool quarterfinal, then we did the Coventry semi-final, and madness. 2 of the most crazy streams I think I've ever been involved in. Yeah, here on United View. Just insane. Absolutely insane. So that's all to come. So there you go, guys. How many likes did we end up at? We got still nearly close to 600 people watching. We're at 250 likes. See if we can get up to 300 likes as we wrap things up. Be sure to click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. And we'll be back tomorrow with the Morning View. Flex and myself, 9 a.m. Be sure to join us there. We're out there. Peace.